Hello there, and welcome to episode 68 of Cuzzo-OP. I am one of the hosts here at Cuzzo-OP, Willie, also known as Arrow, and as usual, we have the other host here.
It's IV. What's up? I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you're here for yet another episode of Star Wars Month here at Cuzzo-OP.
Yeah, it's the last episode of Star Wars Month here at Cuzzo-OP. I haven't said it at all. I wasn't really thinking of doing a Star Wars month. I know that we had 3 episodes planned naturally, but then you were just like, let's just make it the month. Let's mess up our schedule and let's move stuff around, delete some episodes that we're just not gonna do, and let's get Star Wars month. And I'm like, sure, okay.
You said Star Wars? You ain't gotta say that again.
As long as we find something to talk about. And so this episode, for today, we were like, what do we talk about for the last day? And we thought about it. And we were like, you know what? The next time they're going to hear about Star Wars from us is going to be for The Acolyte, which drops next week.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for that show. I saw the trailer again today, and I said...
Right. And so The Acolyte drops next week, and we were like, let's cover a different Star Wars show in anticipation for The Acolyte. Which one? And then a headline came out a few weeks ago from someone that works at Lucasfilm, who he be in the know, and he said that the streets is saying that George Lucas himself believed that his favorite production from Disney Star Wars has been the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Wow.
And so we were like, oh, let's talk about it. And I have no problem talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's my favorite fictional character of all time.
That's your man's.
And so
your opinions is important on this piece of media. So it's like, this is, as much as it might be the last conversation of the month, it's probably an important one. So you might want to tap in. You might want to get yourself a drink, some popcorn, whatever it is you do while you listen to another episode of Cuzzo-OP. But we diving in for a conversation on Disney's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. So, shit, bro. They've heard enough of us about talking about our history with Star Wars. We have so many episodes out there where we don't even need to. If
they haven't heard, they wildin', bro. At this point,
they could go listen to our May 4th episode from this year, our original Star Wars episode from 2023. Any of them really. So we're skipping that, bro.
That's fine.
Let's skip to the show specifically. Our expectations going into this show back in 2022. So for me, I just want to start off by saying 2021, I remember, first off, for years, fans were asking, bring Ewan McGregor back for an Obi-Wan Kenobi show, please. Bring
that boy back.
And he said, oh, I'm down to do it. And then there were rumors that they were going to do an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, but then Solo dropped. And Solo didn't really do well at the box office. And they were like, in typical Disney fashion.
It didn't work. Don't do it again ever again.
They don't want to ever do this again. It wasn't on us. We didn't place that movie between Infinity War and Deadpool 2. It got to be because people just don't want it. Let's scrap that and let's figure something else out, right? So all that to say, they announced it. They had Ewan McGregor come on stage and say, I'm coming back. And then in 2021, I remember them sitting down. And I was watching with Austin, my friend at the time, AI. And
shout out to AI.
They were talking about the future projects of Star Wars. And they were up on that stage and they were like, yep, Ewan McGregor's back. And so is Hayden Christensen. Boom. Mind blown. We were like, what?
Yeah.
Hey, you bringing back Hayden, the guy who has not been in anything for the last almost decade at this point?
Yeah.
Okay, what are y'all cooking up? So expectations for me, an Obi-Wan and Anakin story, right? With them at the focal point, the connection between these two characters, and why is this important to tell at this specific time period?
Right, that's big for you. Big deciding factor on if it's supposed to be around. Why is it here? How's it important?
Yeah, so I'm like, why do we need this? And besides that, I just wanted to see a sad Obi-Wan, bro.
Mm.
I like when characters are down bad because it means that they could rise. They could
Oh,
go.
yeah. Oh,
they could
yeah.
become something new.
That's that Uncharted 4 magic. Stop playing with me. Woo.
And so for me, it was my favorite character of all time.
Mm.
I want to see how he overcomes this.
Mm.
Because we've only ever seen the loss in Revenge of the Sith of everything. We saw the aftermath where he seems more at peace with A New Hope. And then we see the greatest moment of all time, in my opinion, from his character in Rebels.
Yeah.
So
that was crazy. That was
what are we looking at, you know? And so I was just like, show me sad boy become something greater. But how can he get there? How can he become the man he is in Rebels? I want to see that. So those were my expectations going into the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
I feel that.
You got any?
I feel like my expectations on that show, bro, it was before I woke up to like how much I actually like respect Star Wars and the stories that are told. Like, I think I fell into that with Cuzzo-OP when I got this new angle of consuming media because of these conversations. But when I look from this new lens back at what that now means, I think what I appreciated about the show was what I was looking forward to, even subconsciously. And it's like, Obi-Wan has made some mad crazy mistakes. And I like seeing him be humbled. I like that. Because when you watch that Siege of Mandalore, and we moving like this. This is how we moving. This is what's important. We got to go over here. Or even the way he treats Ahsoka on her return, there's a little stale energy toward her as a concept. Bro, did you not see the episode?
She was bringing the staleness first, in my opinion, bro.
You being defensive all night like that?
No, I'm just saying.
Well, the reality is, there are some decisions made, and no one's saying Obi is perfect. I'm not saying he's perfect.
Far from.
And I'm not saying he's the worst guy ever. I'm just saying he's made some decisions and they've had some consequences. So to see him have to eat his consequence soup, I was like, yeah, I like that. I love that for him. But then in classic like post sequel trilogy Star Wars content fashion, the side stories was going in this for me, bro. The further representations of other people. So what got me hyped too was the photos of the cast. Cause you had Obi and the Hayden Christensen in the craziest fit. I was like, yo, bro, I sent you a picture. I'm pretty sure I sent you a picture. Yeah. I said, yo, bro, why are they killing? And Ewan McGregor was also cooking. They were cooking.
Right. You were like, these boys is cooking right now. What's going on?
I said, yo, bro, their fits are crazy. But then, you know, they and then you see the other people in the show, and you're like, what's up with them too? Hold up. The whole gang kind of look like, this is kind of mature. Like, what is this type, you know? So I was excited about their stories, and I like that. I like that. And now that I'm looking back, thinking about it, I feel like I have a lot of places I can take my appreciation for this show, even with some of the conversations we've had this month. So this was a perfect conversation to close out with, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, shit, bro. Let's dive in, then. Let's dive in, bro.
All right.
2022, the first 2 episodes released on Disney Plus.
Sheesh.
And it was actually a really crazy night because we were expecting 3 a.m. drop here in New York City. Okay. And they were like, all right. And on the night of, they did this. They were like, well, what if we drop it at midnight instead? Not days before. That day, they were like, yo, we know y'all like to wait and all that for the 3 a.m. We'll drop the first 2 episodes at midnight for you guys, so y'all could go watch that joint. It was like 11:15 when they announced it. So I was like, yo, in 45 minutes the show is dropping? You mean to tell me I don't have to wait 3 hours?
He was ready.
I was ready.
He was ready.
And so
I respect that, bro.
And what I do with these shows is my friend and I watch with each other. First time. Like, it's no individual shit. Like, we go and we watch these joints for the first time.
Yeah.
So it was me and Austin. We were like, oh, let's get this shit. Let's do it.
Let's get this shit.
So the first episode,
let's get this shit. Let's go.
Diving in, starts off with one of the greatest recaps of like a movie trilogy that I think I've ever seen in my life. Like, It was fantastic. I'm just going to point that out there. Whoever cut up the prequel, some people say that little recap is better than watching the movies itself.
I'm weak. That's crazy.
I'm not going to always say all that, but it was really fun.
Yeah, no, somebody who loves it did it for sure. You could tell.
Absolutely. And so they start the show off and they're like, all right, they start off with Order 66. We are used to Order 66 at this point. We've seen it at least once per year here at Cuzzo-OP. We've talked about it before. We did our Bad Batch episode. We did our Siege of Mandalore episode. We know we know what Order 66 is.
Yeah.
We see it from the perspective of some kids, and we see it from the perspective of Jedi trainers and masters, and it's just a massacre.
Yeah.
But it's always fun to see the different experiences because it shows you how horrible this actually is, right? And then we move forward from Order 66, and there's a reason why they put this here that we'll get into later. It was strategic. Whether it worked, but it was strategic on their end. And then we move on to the Inquisitors with the Grand Inquisitor, who looks a little bit different than Rebels. We can talk about it.
Grand Inquisitor, bro.
Chasing down Jedi. They are doing what they normally do on Tatooine. They're chasing a Jedi, and they happen to find him. And I want to stop and speak about this specifically because I want to know what your thoughts on not immediately starting with Obi-Wan. Why do you think they showcased the Inquisitors doing their work first?
I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, it's like, it adds to the down bad angle, I think that you said, like the sad angle, the defensive space that Obi-Wan is in his life, not just as a Jedi, but he's down in the dumps. Like, he's really down. So I think by showing the Inquisitor side of things first and the intensity of the Empire from that angle, it just shows the threat, the extension of Darth Vader before Obi-Wan even knows it's him. You know, like this thing is far reaching. So I think they started off like that. And then when we start getting into more of Obi's story, that's what they do. They continue with the same theme of going back and forth, because like you said, it's not just an Obi story, because Anakin is a product of Obi in a lot of ways. So it's cool to see how they did that for sure.
Right. So in this sequence, we first, like I said, Grand Inquisitor, he's played by somebody different than he was in Rebels and Tales of the Empire. He's played by Rupert, I think, Friend, I'm going to say is how you say his last name. And people complain about the look. We've seen the Grand Inquisitor's race before in Revenge of the Sith, and they didn't look the way he does in this Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And yeah, it looks different. It's not perfect. We know, unfortunately, something that I'm going to be mentioning a lot is this show was hit by COVID hard. And maybe they needed more money and time, you know? And do I like the look? It's whatever to me. I wish he looked the way that his race did in Revenge of the Sith. However, I think a good performance can make me care about that less, if that makes sense. And sure. I think that this guy did a fantastic job as the Grand Inquisitor.
Me too.
From that opening monologue, the first time we see him, where he's talking about how he needs to cut out the root of the Jedi Order. And I was able to forgive not so great looking Grand Inquisitor.
I just want his head to squish a little, like just a tiny bit. He got like a bad head.
You gotta stretch it out.
It's like squish here and then it'll go up there. They folded in that regard, bro.
But the acting made me, okay, you know what? He sold me. I could watch this guy, you know? It's not Jason Isaacs.
Nah.
But he did good. I think this guy was well used and maybe even underutilized. So let me flip to the other side of the scene with our new Inquisitor, Reva, played by Moses Ingram. And I want to say, first things first, 'cause I'm going to be talking in this episode. So I want to say, when this show came out, there was a lot of racist shit being thrown her way.
Yeah.
Which is not cool at all. Like, people were turning ugly. It was kind of gross to see. And it's unfortunate that she had to deal with it, but it's awesome that Ewan McGregor stood up and he was like, y'all need to cut it out. You know, we are used to radio silence nowadays from co-stars whenever their people are going through something. And so it was really nice to have him make a video talking about, hey, I love you guys as fans, but if you're being racist to her, you're not fans in my eyes. So that was cool. People need to learn how to write their criticism differently. And so I'm going to try my best here tonight to showcase how to do that. So for Reva, as this new Inquisitor Force, she didn't work for me starting right from this opening scene. It just...
I think I've heard you say this to me, actually. Now it's on wax. That's crazy.
Like, it just right away, I mean...
That's on wax.
It just felt like you bring in this character who everybody knows already as the Grand Inquisitor, and you put somebody else there, and you're like, okay, what is she bringing to the table, right? Perspective, you know, you like to use, I forgot what the words were during Tales of the Empire, that you were using to explain a vehicle, right? A vehicle for something else, things like that. But right away, the way she was acting when talking with the Grand Inquisitor, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like that. I don't know but I got to see more of her. But right away, I was like,
she's mid-pack.
We'll see. I said, we'll see. Here, I said, we'll see. But we jumped to Obi-Wan Kenobi doing his little work routine. And I like that they took time to showcase, well, what is Obi-Wan doing with his day? Because he's not just sitting in a cave.
Right.
No, he's working, making money because he's trying to buy Luke a little action figure. And he's talking to Jawas and he's having trauma in the cave, which I love how that was displayed. Obi-Wan's trauma, his nightmares about Anakin. But I mean, you've had nightmares before. I've had nightmares before. Nightmares don't follow a set path. The nightmares aren't only just Obi-Wan remembering Vader when he's burning on the ground.
Fact.
It's sprinkled in him and Anakin's good times.
Yeah.
Having fun, flying in Attack of the Clones and other things like that. And so I think the way that this first episode overall displays Obi-Wan's just down badness, down in the gutter, was perfect.
Yeah.
I think it was perfect.
Yeah, I think we meet him right where he's supposed to. We're right where you're supposed to. And I think at the end of the day, it launches off. There's a couple things they do, even from a thematic standpoint, you know, that there's a scene with him just in the cave at night. And it's got like this very, it's got like this like Jesus-y type vibe almost. It's got like this spiritual vibe to it. And you tell that he's in a pivotal state of his life, of his journey with the Force. You get that vibe from this episode. That's what this feels like.
Yes.
So everything else feels like noise. I respect what you're saying about Homegirl. We're gonna dive in, but I knew it was a good feeling on the other end of the episode, and it's very distinctly different than what Mandalorian makes you feel. I think that's also very worth saying. You know, at this point, Mandalorian was knocking things out the park at this point. This is 2022, right? So this is after season 2, am I not mistaken?
Yeah, it was after season 2, but after the Book of Boba Fett as well. So we had already seen.
So we saw some crazy stuff. Episode 5 and 6, right? 5 and 6. Stop playing with me. So
yes, sir.
All that being said, it's like then you have this mature vibe that you get, and it's like it better be. What I'm watching it, and I'm like, yeah, that's how it should be. You know, like that's what it feels like. And that feeling doesn't go away, I think, is what's cool about this particular show. But we'll keep diving in. One thing I do want to say though is there's a lot of people who, if you're not a fan of nuance, then you're not going to like this one. Whole show, right from rip, I knew was going to be built on this like level of mature, critical thinking, type of like analysis between the journey of Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi and where they leave each other and how they'll always be a part of each other. But if you're not in the weeds with the show, you're just watching it to see. They left you a little Last of Us dynamic in there. They left you a little something. But at the same time, bro, you're missing the whole beauty of the story. You know what I mean? So I knew this was going to be one of those ones for me, but I also knew some homies that it was not going to be one of the ones for.
Right.
We've
talked about how sometimes shows aren't meant to be for you.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's not a bad show just because it's not for you. If it's not hitting, it's not hitting. And so people got to wake up to that, right?
They do.
So I like the cave stuff that you were speaking on. I liked having him cry out for Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Because Yoda leaves him with the lesson. You need to communicate with your master. That's what your job is on Tatooine, to do that and watch Luke. And so we're sitting here thinking, well, Obi-Wan can't leave Tatooine. How are they going to justify an important reason to get this man to leave his post, which we know is the most important guard post of the galaxy? You introduce the other most important character at this point in time, Leia.
Fire.
Mind blown. When they showed Alderaan, I'm like, first off, every time we see this planet, I don't want to like it because I already know what's going to happen to it. I don't want to enjoy this planet.
Facts.
But I'm like, wait, why are we here? Oh, are they going to bring Vivian Blair as Princess Leia? Probably my third favorite character from this show.
Yeah, she cooked.
I think she was played excellently. Any doubt of, oh, she's a child actress, we might be, was crushed right away.
She has a bright future ahead of her. That's all we'll say at the end of the day. Like, right. she went to blows with Ewan McGregor on screen.
Right.
All six. I mean, well, mainly all five. Like, for real. It's like, I love that when a child actor is able to rise to that level and it isn't a kid, that an older person trying to play a kid, like it's actually a kid. And again, this is the type of show that's perfect for that. Something mature.
Right.
Mature.
You know, and introducing her at this stage in her life made me appreciate the rest of her journey. It made me like Leia a lot more and look at her character completely different. But introducing her in this first episode with Jimmy Smits, shout outs to Jimmy Smits. Yeah. It was awesome to see, Leia, she's always been like this, bro. She's always been feisty. She's always been smart, quick thinking, witted. I like that. It's good to see that. It's good to see her in her natural state. You get to know a lot about somebody, how they are in their natural state, right? And so she gets kidnapped. You're like, okay, I see where they're going. Bail gives Obi-Wan his call, the call to the journey, to be a hero, be like the story of being a hero, Luke Skywalker, the hero's journey. And so Obi-Wan denied the call. He's like, I can't do that. I got to guard Luke. But he's not saying that because he really believes he needs to guard Luke. He's saying that out of his fear. He's letting his fear control him when he tells Bail, I can't do that. And so Bail's like, I'm going to come and shake some sense into you, bro. So he pulls up and he's like, she's just as important as Luke. You couldn't save Anakin, but you can save this girl. So let's have one last mission. And Obi-Wan's like, okay, I got you. And that was really the end of the first episode. And I thought it was a fantastic episode. It's one of my favorite episodes in Star Wars history. It just gave me everything I felt like I wanted.
Honestly, bro, it was just beautiful building on what already existed. If you understand the relationship these two have and the fact that their camaraderie is what allows him to come shake sense into him, then you can appreciate it more. You know what I mean? It's just cool to see that friendship line pulled on because he thinks he's alone. And it's also proving he's not. He's choosing to be alone in the way he feels. So this is a call toward life, a call out of isolation, a call out of, desert father posture where you're just on your own, listening to your own spirit. Like, nah, bro, come back to life. We need you to get off the bench. Like, dust your shits off.
Like, we need you right now, bro. Like, relax.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. I love that, bro. Ewan McGregor's cooking the whole episode, the whole top to bottom. He's just back in his element. It wasn't like, let's give him some room to cook. Nah, he got to chefing. It's good. Right.
And I like the behind the scenes interviews where he's like, well, if I come back now, I can't do my Revenge of the Sith talking because now I'm supposed to be closer to Alec Guinness. So now I got to find my voice that's somewhere closer to. They thought about that stuff. I really love it. I love that he came back and was like, I need to articulate and specifically, and I loved it. I loved his voice.
It's Star Wars, man.
Episode 2, the quest to find Leia. They end up on this new planet, and this planet very sci-fi, straight up. Like,
Yeah.
We get to see Tim Morrison as a random clone. I love it, right? You got him there already. Just throw him in, sprinkle him wherever you can. I'm still upset about not seeing Old Man Rex on Ahsoka, but maybe season 2 can do something for us. But
I can't believe they didn't, but it would have been too much. They need to save punches for some other things.
Perhaps. Right, season 2, bro. We can get it then. He pulls up to save Leia, and to kind of fast forward through it, once they get in contact, once he pulls up, he does his John Wick stuff, he fights, knocks some dudes out, and all that other stuff. He gets Leia, and they're like, all right, let's move forward. And you begin to see the dynamic between these two, which really grows their bond. You're like, oh shit, I'm thinking now, connections, poetry. Why does Leia name her son after some random man that she met one time on the Death Star? Not even really met, because they didn't meet on the Death Star. It's here. All right. She's kind of cautious because she doesn't know you're a stranger, but they're also strangers. You saved me from them, but do I trust that you're a good guy? Oh, you're a Jedi. Okay. Why is your lightsaber hanging out if you're trying to remain undercover? That's a good point, Leia. That's a great point.
Facts.
Whatever. Their dynamic is dope. We get introduced to another character played by homeboy that's in damn everything, bro. He was in Eternal.
Oh,
he
yeah.
Played, he's Haja in this. And he was okay. He was cool, whatever. It was nice. What I liked about his character specifically in this episode is how, he's scamming people as a Jedi. But then once he realizes that a real Jedi is on a real mission and needs help, he's like, you know what? I'm a good person.
Right.
I might be scummy, but I'm also going to try my best to be a good person.
Right.
That was cool. We get to see the dynamic of the Inquisitors. Reva's ambitions. We're starting to understand her ambitions a little bit more. She wants to hunt Obi-Wan for something. We don't know what yet. She's beefing with the other Inquisitors. They are looking down on her because they are like, we raised you up from the gutter. The fifth brother, played by the dude who was, I think his name is Han from the Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious, bro. And he looks like his character actually from the animated.
I hated it. I don't think he looked anything like him.
Oh,
I did not like
I liked it. I was looking at some photos just now, and I was like, oh, I remember that. And that's so cool to see it after seeing it on animated stuff.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I thought it was actually kind of just like whatever. Yeah, but we get to see the Inquisitor dynamics, and we get this feeling like, yo, she kind of feels like she's not fucking with any of them. Like she doesn't feel like she's loyal to this. And here we get to see COVID. We saw COVID in the last episode, the Leia chase sequence from the first episode. Oh, it's terrible. It's garbage, blah, blah. Bro, it lasted what, like a minute, maybe less? Like, all right, yeah, it wasn't the best thing, but are we really going to sit here and cry about this? If you want to, sure. But to me, it really does feel like some people at that point, when they're criticizing that, I'm like, I don't know if you guys wanted to like this. Or like, yeah, it's a fair critique, but to cry?
He's going crazy on y'all right now. He's cooking you alive right now.
You see the COVID. You see the restrictions having to film on bus. When Obi-Wan's chasing Leia through the streets, you can tell that he has to kind of move weirdly. Why? Because the volume is right here. It's right here. They're on a stage and they need to stay on the stage. It's unfortunate. I personally believe like we waited long enough for the show. The show could have been delayed to wait.
I agree. I would have cooked it up right.
Right. But I don't, we can focus on what if later.
Yeah. All I'm saying is it's integral in its location. And that's part of one of my points, but I'll bring that up later. Keep going though. Keep going.
Well, Obi-Wan chases Leia. He saves her. The homeboy Haja saves him, and they end up on this ship. At the end of the episode, Reva's hunting him, and she's like, Anakin's alive, Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan's like, oh shit. And you see him get shook. Ewan's very visually shook. Grand Inquisitor pops in. She stabs the Grand Inquisitor right through the chest and dies. We know he doesn't die. Twitter, once again with this show, pissy fit. What do you mean? What do you mean? She killed the Grand Inquisitor. That doesn't make sense. They're breaking canon. Y'all forgot how TV shows work? Personally, I believe this show would have been more well received by everybody if they dropped all 6 episodes at once and didn't leave people waiting for questions, because people are pissy. They don't want to wait
they
for
don't
the answers, for the things they want.
And they let things percolate, yeah.
They don't like to let that shit happen. They want everything now. The show would have been more well received if it dropped all together, but fuck y'all.
Good take.
The episode ends. First look, Darth Vader in the tank, floating there. Bomb. How you feeling about that, bro? How do you feel about the second episode?
I think, yeah, I thought that moment was wild. I won't lie. It's like, wait, what's going on? Hold on, is it? And since I'm still trying to figure out if I like her as an actress, it didn't help for whatever reason. It somehow had a negative effect. Even though I knew I was going to continue to ride, and I watched it when the 3rd episode was already out. So I was able to jump into the next one just like that. But nonetheless, man, I think, listen, bro, they gave us some Last of Us vibes. They gave us the introduction to the male protagonist becoming responsible for this young female protagonist in a very, like, you know, family way. Like, we're somehow becoming family instantaneously, and it's dope. You know what I mean? Because I'm your uncle on some real shit.
Right. But he couldn't let her know that, bro.
Couldn't let her know that.
That a great scene before you continue from episode 2 is when, after spending some time with Leia, he says to her, "You remind me of a strong woman that I once knew." And it's awesome to see. And the fans, to me, they don't make sense.
Right.
They're like, oh my God, he's thinking of Duchess Satine.
No, you dummy.
Why would he be thinking of Duchess?
It's Padme, bro. Can these people get their head out they behind?
Like, I get y'all want to make connections and stuff, but let's be real. He is looking at Padme's daughter. He's not thinking of Duchess Satine. He could be. Yeah, he could be. He's not. He's thinking of Padme. He's not thinking of Ahsoka. He's thinking of the girl's mother. Like, let's be real, bro.
And they're doubling up on that uncle concept because her dad asked for him to go save this man because there's relationship from their past. They've known each other for a while. Like I said, if they building off that in the first one, that's why he could shake him out his depression. It's like, I'm not lying. I am your uncle in some ways. You know what I mean? Like that kind of a vibe. So the relationship that's built is authentic. It's built on this whole it rhymes concept, if you've seen content. But then on top of that, they're acting. You could tell, oh yeah, they're going to cook. They're going to 100% cook. And that gives me that Joel, Ellie, Pedro, like you get this trope and then this execution, but it's in Star Wars. So like, that's why I like that they brought that in here, because you don't see any of the newer stuff coming out with that kind of a trope or that kind of a vibe. And sometimes it could be wild when you take a concept that may be seen in other shows and do it yourself. Like we talk about how like Into the Spider-Verse, everything is multiverse right now. Everyone's doing a multiverse concept. And you could tell when it's cheesy or you could tell when they take ownership of it. And I feel like in this show, this second episode had me like, okay, they're going to take ownership of it. They're going to take it to a place that you can only take it in a galaxy far, far away. If you know what I'm talking about. I'm really excited. I'm really excited at this point. Right when we were going to episode 3, it was like, that was a weird ending, but we launching off into some shiz. Let me strap in. Let me get some more popcorn. So that's how I felt.
So I feel like the way you felt with 3 or 2, I felt with 3. Right? So 3 begins with Darth Vader, James Earl Jones. I don't know if we haven't answered yet of whether or not it was him or if it was fully AI. I think it was fully AI. I think I remember seeing something that he signed off that Disney could use his voice.
That's crazy.
To do Darth Vader. And so either way, it was fantastic. It sounded great. And we know Hayden's in the suit. So we got Hayden fulfilling the role of Darth Vader with James Earl Jones. Okay, we in here. And he's on his throne on Mustafar. And he has the conversation where he's like, oh, word, you found Kenobi? Don't fail, because I'll kill you. And we get this Last of Us episode for me from Obi-Wan and Leia, where now we are past them meeting. Now she's attached to him and they need to work together. And he's like, all right, this is our disguised name. Here's our backstory. Here's all this. We need to get to our contact that's on this planet. Let's work together. And on their journey, he sees the flashes of Hayden standing through the fields because now he knows Anakin's alive. You know, he's having ghosts literally haunt him. It's awesome. It's sad to say that, right? When someone's going through that experience. Of course. But in Star Wars, unfortunately, we get our joy out of characters suffering and rising from it. It's kind of twisted, but
yeah, that's what it's all about.
We again, COVID restrictions. The planet is pretty dusty and dry. We've seen concept art of what the planet was supposed to look like. It looks gorgeous. It's really sad that they couldn't fulfill their original vision. It's a beautiful foresty planet, bro. And we get a desert, like another desert planet. It's kind of upsetting, right? But in this episode, we get one of my favorite scenes from the show. They get on the back of Freck's truck and they're driving through the desert. They get the stormtroopers on the back and they're pressing Obi-Wan. What's your deal? And he slips up because Leia's talking too much. And he says, all right, Leia, be quiet. And they're like, that's not her name. And so Obi-Wan dives into his baggage and he's like, she just looks like her mom. And I sometimes forget that that's not her. But when I look at her, I see. And Leia reads him like a book, dog. She's 9-10 years old reading the fuck out of him. Like,
oh yeah, she's nasty with it, bro. Discernment out the wazoo.
Wow, you sound sincere. And when the stormtroopers leave, she's like, you knew my mom, right? He's like, yeah. And she's like, are you my real dad? And he's like, I wish I was. Star Wars fans really took that joint the wrong way.
I wish I was.
They were like,
it's crazy though.
What do you mean? No, it's not crazy. I don't think it's crazy. Because he says it in the sense that he knows who her real father is, Darth Vader. He wishes that he could spare her this pain that we know that Leia eventually feels in her.
That was a COVID line, bro. That line is crazy.
You're smoking something crazy right now. That's a beautiful line.
Well, I wish I was. I wish I was her dad.
That's crazy. You're bugging out, bro.
I wish I got to poke your mom.
You're following the stupid Star Wars fans,
bro. I'm just saying it could have been said in a much clearer, defined, or like more defined way.
What happened to everything you were saying earlier about noticing the nuances?
That one's a little bit of a reach. I just feel
I think you're bugging.
Instead of saying that, he could have, like, as somebody who, bro, come on, you're somebody who writes, like, you understand, you can get a message across in different ways. He could have said something like, I'm not, but I wish he was here. Something like that. It would have gotten the same message across and still been just as heartfelt and still would have
I don't think
instead of saying, yeah, I wish I was your dad. That's crazy.
No, I don't think so. I think you're bugging out right now. I think you and all the people who think that line, that there's an issue, are stupid as hell. Because
there's
at the end of the day,
definitely a way it could be taken. It can be misinterpreted, bro. That's the end of the day.
Then I think you're looking on paper. Here's what this word actually means. So here's what he wanted to say. You're not going.
Bro, I just would never say that to anyone. If my boy's dad, if my boy's kid looked at me and something happens to them, God forbid, and they asked, "Are you my real dad?" And I looked at them and I said, "Nah, but I wish I was." That shit wouldn't be proper, bro. I wouldn't say that.
I think you're bugging out, bro. I think for as close as Anakin and Obi-Wan were, and
like if he goes and he tells Anakin,
and the fact that
I told your daughter, I told your daughter, I wish I was her.
You're smoking.
I've been a dad to your daughter more than you've been. That's what it's given. It's given that energy. It's not given this heartfelt.
And it'd be fucking true. And it'd be true.
See, you just team Obi with this shit. That's what
I'm not.
That's all right, bro. I was rooting for the Knicks last week. Now I'm rooting for the Mavs, so it's okay. I understand, bro. It's okay. Loyalties, man.
You sound stupid as hell on the mic right now, bro.
Nah, it all makes
sounds so silly.
It all makes sense. Rock with me, but listen, bro. Anyways, past the father line.
That line, bro.
Past the father line.
It's a beautiful moment.
Okay.
It's a beautiful moment.
Yeah,
You're bugging out.
the moment is a beautiful moment that they recognize each other as who they are and there's respect and all that. That line ass though. Straight up.
You're bugging. You're smoking. You're wrong. In fact, I'm going to say it. You're wrong. There's
Can't
no
wait.
discussion.
Yo, EK, Tyson, please, everyone listening right now, shout out to everybody listening. Put your comments down in the YouTube right now. Stop. Press pause.
The scene is going to be linked. You go right to our description, watch the scene, and then let me know what you think.
And I'll put a poll down there. Are they wildin' or was it a good line? Definitely want to hear some of y'all thoughts. Anyways, bro, let's move past this because I'm not giving up here.
We know that you don't give up, bro.
Never.
You're bugging. It's a beautiful moment between two characters who feel like they grow closer to it because Leia's starting to feel like he's letting that disguise that he's putting up go. He's being vulnerable with me. He's allowing me to see that, you know, there is something here that connects us. And I might not feel that, but like every kid, or I shouldn't say like every kid, but what we would have think every kid who has ever been adopted or gone through something like this feels is, but who are they? What are they? Who are they out there? Do they love me? Do they care about me? These are the things that she's thinking in her mind. And Obi-Wan gets to see, oh, this little girl is smart. She's wondering these things, and I can't tell her, and that breaks my heart too.
Right.
So we meet up with Tala. We meet her. Shout outs to the girl from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can bring you to safety. I'm going to bring you to the path. And the path on the wall, once they get to this location, has the names of Jedi who have made it out alive. And this is another one of my favorite moments. Not because of Easter eggs. Oh, shout outs to Ram Koda, though. We spoke about him last week during our gaming episode.
In fact,
his name was on the wall. This is the first time that he's been mentioned in canon since Disney has taken over. Obi-Wan, my favorite moment, is from when he reads about Quinlan Voss. Quinlan he had a few arcs in the Clone Wars show. He's a background character in Phantom Menace. And he's the star of the Dark Disciple book. I think if anybody has any care, you should read the Dark Disciple book. It's a canceled 8-episode Clone War arc that was turned into a book. He reads his name, and you see this life in Obi-Wan. Almost that he's like, a friend of mine that I once knew made it out. Like, it's a great moment that just comes from McGregor's ability to act like Quinlan was here. Like, I just know I shared the same space with someone I once knew as a friend. And the fact that he's out there gives me light. I love that moment because I feel like we can all kind of resonate with a small detail about something meaning a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Hearing just, oh, this person, he heard this song earlier today and he thought of this memory that we had together. That's awesome. Great moment leading to one of the dopest parts of the show. Vader turning up, bro.
Yeah.
Killing kids. He dragged the woman through the street.
He did.
And my hot take or cold take, Disney has used Darth Vader the best. That menacing force, check. The emotional moments, also check. This moment was awesome. What did you think of this moment what do you remember from this moment as someone who didn't, at the time, wasn't fully into the Star Wars realm?
It was, oh snap, it's Vader. It's Vader. Oh snap. Last time I think I had seen Vader in something from this point, because you see him in different perspectives from different shows and pieces of media, I think was Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, it would have been. And
when he comes out at the end of that game, that's the energy I'm seeing on screen right now.
Right.
So it didn't feel, it felt like, oh yeah, that's Vader. That's how it felt.
And for you, before that would have been Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One, and that's also Vader. That's facts. You know, I think they cooking. I think they cooking in that regard. But at the same time, this is also where I got to insert my point, bro. I got to say that this show is perfectly placed. It had to come out during COVID. It had to push through. It couldn't have been delayed. Because if we didn't get this Vader from Hayden, we wouldn't have gotten that Anakin from him in Ahsoka. Him having the opportunity to suit back up and become Darth Vader again, it was like the ultimate dust kick. Like anything he had on him, he shook it off, and we got a very warmed up Hayden Christensen as Anakin in Ahsoka. He came outside warmed up, and it's because he had already made his return. And so it's fire because all of the fan yuck that people were giving him on his way out last time, he got to suit up as Darth Vader, this powerful being, this person who holds the empire. Like, this is who he suited up for this show. And then he gets to go back to Anakin and have that posture of humbling that powerful part of himself, or using it to help humble his apprentice and to teach her something, one last lesson. It's like, it's the perfect pass off, because what Obi does in this show is pass something on to Anakin. He makes a mark on Anakin in Darth Vader form. And that's why I think the show is so flames, bro. It's like, it's this continual notion. If we looked at a show with Kanan Jarrus and what's her name? Jedi Balad, is it Balad? Depa Balaba. If they had a film, it would feel something like this. It would feel, if they had a show, I would say, you see their Jedi apprentice and the impact they make on each other, and then that way that character then makes impact on other characters, and in the way and that's what I feel like they got very right. And I love that this show came out for that very reason. They played on that strength, top to bottom, the entire time. And then they're doing it with Leia. I'm trying to tell y'all, bro. I just, listen, no one's doing the universes like that, bro. There's no one. I don't want to hear none. I don't want to hear none of the BS. Marvel, nope. DC James, shut up. What's going on over here with Star Wars? Unmatched. Changed my mind.
Right.
Changed my mind.
Right.
Anyways, man, shout outs to the path.
We got, from the sequence, we also get to read Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan's fear that he feels when Vader is around. Vader senses it, and Obi-Wan dips, and we get our first rematch with them, and Vader dog walks him.
Facts.
He's letting fear control him. We've seen recently on Tales of the Empire what fear and anger and all that how that can control you. And Obi-Wan is letting that happen here. He's sloppy, he's scared, he's nervous, facing, rightfully so, his former apprentice out in them fields. And
this is somebody who his weapon is fear. So you just giving him more of his weapon.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's why that's why the menacing nature of him that Disney brings outside is important. Because it worked on the guy who helped him become who he is. That's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy.
We see him dog walking, bro. Drags him through fire and everything. He gets saved, of course, because it's only episode 3.
Yeah.
But Leia gets kidnapped by Reva, who's like, I want Obi-Wan Kenobi. And this leads us to episode 4. Now, in my opinion, episode 4 is the weakest episode of the show.
Yeah.
And is the episode where every single issue I have with the show is perfectly clear. So in this episode, we have to rescue Leia. Let's break into the Fortress Inquisitoris, or whatever we call that shit. It's, I don't know how to say Inquisitorius or whatever like that. And first off, I'm okay with repeating plot points and things like that. I'm okay with things happening over and over again. It's not a big deal for me. Other people scream at the top of their lungs. But I do think it's kind of corny that we low-key just watched this happen in Jedi Fallen Order. We just watched the same plan go through.
This is what I'm trying to tell you, bro. There's tropes. There's tropes, and they fall into those tropes. But It's Obi, so I'm okay with it. I'm finding an excuse for it at this point already because they're doing other things very well, in my opinion. So it's like you get a freebie. You know, I've been doing tail your enemy missions in Assassin's Creed since 2009. So it's like I'll do another one if it comes up. I'm gonna have to do it.
Right, exactly. Like I'm like, you know what? Sure, it's been 5 years. You know, I know that sometimes after a break-in like that, security will get beefed up, and then 5 years later, you know, they slacking off again.
That's facts.
I'll take it.
That's facts.
So they gotta go get Leia, and we get a scene between Leia and Reva, where Reva's trying to convince her, "Tell me where they are, and I'll help you." And in my opinion, like, I don't mean to sound like I'm being overly negative towards her, but I believe Vivian acted Moses in this scene. Like, I think Leia was genuinely the stronger actress in this scene where she's like, tell me. Like, it just, for me, in a lot of her role as Reva, it seems like she went to in general acting class. When you want to sound menacing, you talk like this, and then you raise your voice to sound more menacing, and then you get back down here and you talk like this, and you get up in their face. It wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't scared of you when you were pressing this little girl. She wasn't even scared of you, bro. But I know that's writing. But again, it was just like, you weren't making it work for me.
Yeah. She wasn't selling it.
And we talk about writing. We talk about, is it writing? Is it acting? I think a good acting performance can turn bad writing into something genuinely enjoyable.
Just like bad writing can hold back a good actor as well if it's really, really bad. But
it's something that can be distinguished.
Yeah, no.
This wasn't
that. There's a lot of strong things that, like we said, going for them, including the person that's holding the hostage gets into a fight with them trope. You know what I mean? Like, they're captured, and the two of them are having a heated conversation about something, and that gives the perfect cover for the person who needs to slip in to save that person to come in. Like, it's a trope. So at the end of the day, I don't know. She didn't botch it up, because how do you botch up a rescue mission type of deal? You know what I mean? How do you ruin a show where you're still a minor character, no matter how much you might be trash? That's the dynamic I had for her the whole time, and that kind of came where I had grace from. Essentially, is what I'm trying to say. It's like I can look past her poor acting in this area because I've got Obi-Wan Kenobi fighting Darth Vader.
Right, I get that.
And Leia is in the cut, and the kid is an incredible actress. Like, she gets the team is carrying her right now, bro. Right,
and this is where one of my questions is, why was she needed in the first place?
Now, that's what I wanted to say. What do you think about that, bro? Because you got the sister, you got the fourth sister, you got the fifth brother, you got the Grand Inquisitor.
Could have used the Grand Inquisitor.
What's up with it? Why didn't they use any of those guys? What's your theory?
I don't know. I'm being honest. I was speaking with a friend of mine last week about it. Shout out to Abe. And he made a comparison. Not everyone's going to understand this comparison, right? But he is a fan of the Mortal Kombat franchise.
Did he like this new one? Did he like MK1?
He did. He said to me, what Reva is in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show is what Cole Young, the main character of the Mortal Kombat movie, is to that movie. You've got a roster of great main characters, yet you decided to create a new one for what purpose? Because you feel like you need a new character in this in order to make it work, because you need an audience vehicle. Like he was, and it made sense. It made so much sense to me, because I'm like, I also don't know why Reva was needed in this.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they couldn't use a previously established character to prove that point also, or even write the show differently. Oh, well, why would the Grand Inquisitor be searching for Obi-Wan? I don't know, but maybe in that version of the story, you don't write it that way. You know, I say it's important for us to not focus on the what ifs, but I like to put focus on the whys. And by episode 4 of the show, have not determined my justification for this character to exist at this particular point in time as such a main purpose of this show. As someone who has quite literally put all of these events in motion, I still don't know why they used her. Why couldn't it be someone else? I don't know. Episode 4 is quite literally the get in and rescue mission.
Yeah, it's a rescue mission, top to bottom.
Tala blow her cover. We see a scene that people make fun of where Leia's hiding under the trench coat and they're walking through and no one's spotting her. And they're like, oh, that's so stupid. Yada, yada, yada. I'm like, you know what? It is stupid. But at the same time, bro.
It's COVID.
Who cares, bro? Could they have done something different to get him out and cause a huge explosion? Sure. Why did they write it that way? I don't know. Is it weak? In my opinion, yes. But I also, whatever. I'm enjoying my time. That's what this show is. I'm enjoying my time. It is silly that she's sneaking under the trench coat and it, you know. But at the end of the day, bro, I'm not putting 100% focus on this particular thing as a justification as to why this show is bad. Because at the end of the day, I enjoyed it. Like, it was just an enjoyable ride for me. You know, we shouldn't be all lazy and forgive everything because that's how creatives become even lazier. You know what I mean? But I think that you got to frame what you're saying like a smart person, give the criteria correctly. There was a different way to get them out.
Just like there was a different way for them to write. I wish I was.
You need to relax. You need to relax.
Episode 5, baby.
So for episode 5, we have what starts with a flashback, which shut everybody up on Twitter who was asking for the flashbacks. Oh, where's my flashback of Anakin and Obi-Wan? Here it is. You just have to wait for it. It's something that you need to wait for. We can't just give it to you in episodes 1, 2, and 3, and 4. You got to wait. You know, you had to wait 4 weeks, but oh well. And so I want your opinion on, because what the show does is instead of delivering the flashback all in its entirety and letting the episode play out, they start the episode with the flashback and then splice it up throughout the episode, putting it in important segments, focusing on Obi-Wan, diving into the flashback, then going and showing Vader's perspective, back into the flashback, and they go back and forth until the end of the episode. So why do you think they spice it up the way that they did for the show?
Yeah, man, I think, you know, this is something that you probably have seen in other pieces of Star Wars or other pieces of, you know, you use a flashback to set the thematic point of an episode, and then it sets the tone. They do it with the titles of the Mandalorian episodes. But the word comes up. You could take that word and carry it with you through the episode. That's what it's trying to do with the flashback. Breaking it up was an interesting point. I feel like I've seen it before, and we know Deborah Chow, shout outs to her. She's the one who directed this show. She's been brought on for The Mandalorian a couple episodes and has a career where she does episodes for one episode in a show that already exists, like Vampire Diaries, for example. And I think she's good at that, but it also kind of like gives her an Achilles heel, in that I think she uses a lot of tropes that we may have seen in other places. It could have been her that exposed us to this concept before, just in another show. You know what I mean? So all that being said, I felt that a little bit, but at the same time, I understand what they were trying to do. I think they teed themselves up really well, though. For episode 6, that's what I felt like on the other end of that flashback dynamic.
But do you think that it was interesting that they spliced it up instead of delivering it all at once? Like,
yeah, no. I think it was wise because it's too important. It's too layered. It's too complex. You need to nuance over and over and over again in order for the value of what that flashback means to get across. And it just proves significance, bro. Just the significance of the Star Wars story and everything that's come before that leads these characters to be where they are right now.
Right. I mean, for Deborah, in my opinion, I think having her take over the entirety of the show was just a bad decision.
Yeah.
It is honestly my belief that for most television shows, you know, because of how rare it is for her to be doing this, taking over this production, this is not where this should have happened.
Yeah.
You know, a story about legendary legacy characters did not need someone who was in, new.
We'll
to
give her
carrying the
first
whole
show
project.
on this. Yeah.
Right. Like it should have been a multi-team, multi-creative process.
But
did COVID play a role in how having her be the sole person in charge? Maybe. I just don't think that this was the right place to let her stretch her legs. Maybe Mando season 3 could have been all her. Maybe some other Star Wars project could have been all her.
Sure.
But when dealing with this legacy, I don't know if this was the right route to go. And I felt like a lot of this show was what you are saying in ways. I'm like, yo, but I've seen this before. But because it has the Obi-Wan, Anakin, like paint skin over it, it feels like I can still chew on this. It feels like I can still digest this, But I'm not necessarily painting the directing as one of the show's stronger points.
Nah.
Because in my opinion, it wasn't.
No.
It wasn't.
No.
From cinematography to other things.
But again, you said it, the acting can save that, and it did. That's what makes the show special, is the characters that are played well, But yeah, no, I agree with you big time, bro. I think it was just an interesting decision. And maybe it has to do with what happened in 2018. Maybe Solo came out and Disney made a decision on they were going to stay low risk, not make too much of an investment on this particular production because they didn't know if it would go well or not. Maybe, I don't know. Disney, we said it, Disney be evil with that shit. So all in all, flashback still what everybody wanted. So it also had fan service vibes, and you carried that fan service vibe through the whole episode.
Right. It to me, it was incredibly magical.
Yeah.
Either way, as someone who watched Attack of the Clones, I'm talking daily as a kid, to see 20 years later Hayden and Ewan portraying those versions of themselves.
Yeah.
It's glorious.
Yeah.
The second most magical moment I've had in Star Wars in a long time. It's number 2. The number 1 is still that Mando finale from season 2.
Yeah. I like that episode 5 of Book of Boba.
That was great too. So for episode 5, outside this flashback that ties Obi-Wan and his victory over Vader together, we get Obi-Wan helping all these people escape, the Empire gunning, trying to get into this base. Tala dies. Oh man, damn. Lobot, I'm gonna call him Lobot. Lobot dies. Oh man.
Oh.
But the specific sequence in this episode, first off, Vader running up on a joint, pulling the ship out of the air and opening it up and having nobody in it. That was like, oh, this man really just pulled a ship trying to dip out of the air.
That's facts.
This man is powerful,
That's
right?
Facts.
The other ship played him and dips out, and then Reva attacks. Now I know we say we judge what we get and not what we could have gotten. However, I'm gonna be a hypocrite right now because I got a really good question. From a writing perspective, what sense does it make to have the ship dip out, the second ship dip out, and then Reva attack him when he could have been pulling the ship out of the air? Because he pulled the first one out very fast. The second one he could have pulled out. Just why not, from a writing perspective, just have her attack him when he's pulling the ship that everyone is on out of the air? Because then he needs to go on the self-defense move.
Yeah, I don't understand.
You know what I mean?
I don't understand that. And I just couldn't stand her at this point. So then it just exacerbates it. It exacerbates it. Ah, man.
And in this episode, we get her motive.
Yeah.
She was one of the kids from the first episode that we mentioned when she saw her friends die in Order 66. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. I like the twisted, I kind of like the twisted idea that she's blaming Obi-Wan Kenobi for Anakin Skywalker doing what he did, because grief is not a clear thing. Everyone online saying she should be blaming Anakin. Why is she blaming? Because grief doesn't make people think clearly. He wasn't there to stop his apprentice. We got to keep in mind, this man was still Obi-Wan's apprentice at the time.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't stop him. Why didn't you stop him? You're my path to him. I'm hunting you to get to him, to kill him. And Obi-Wan uses her anger and turns it against Vader. It's a brilliant move from him. But at the end of the day, it's just like, even with the motivation, I don't understand your purpose here still.
Yeah, like
I get it on a writing. It makes sense. They wrote it out, sure.
Well,
I don't get why it was needed.
I don't think it was needed, but I do think that what you just broke down deepens what we got going on. It's another angle of Obi versus Anakin. You know what I mean? It's Obi and Anakin, the relationship they have, and the fact that their relationship has impacted the entire galaxy. Like, I think that that's what she's there to be a vehicle of the concept of. And and if there was a better actress, I think we would have bought it. I think if it was a better actress, we would have bought it. If it was somebody, and it could have been honestly somebody like C or B tier, like somebody not brand new. It could have been somebody who, be outside like a little bit. I would have appreciated that, and if they took it a little bit more care, because what it means is that like they understood that these are two characters that shouldn't be weighed down by such a silly, like not a silly actress, but a silly performance based on a character that's kind of like not necessary. And this is just a weak plot device, bro. At the end of the day, it just becomes, what's up with the script? The script is kind of falling apart this episode a little bit. Like, I like certain parts, but what's going on with the script this episode and last episode, and anything has to do with this girl? What's going on? I want to like the Inquisitors, and I don't even like them because she's on the screen. Why y'all did that? And remember, I was gassed when I saw the cast. I said, I like this cast. They're fly. It was upsetting, bro. But the good thing is episode 6 has nothing to do with that.
For the most part.
Episode 6 got to deal with some more important stuff.
Absolutely, right? I love the chess match in episode 5. I think it's brilliant, but I think just having to also deal with this character that at this point in episode 5, you have not won me on board. I don't know if you can.
Nah.
At this point, I don't think putting her motivations earlier would have saved it, because I don't give a shit. I cannot give a shit.
Yeah.
And I don't. Episode 6.
It also could have like resolved in episode 4. It could have came and hit in episode 4, and I would have been there, and then you could have just let us have these two.
Twisted. You just, have the Titans. Just have the Titans be battling each other for the last 2. I agree with you 100%.
Shout outs to, what's her name? Deborah.
We get episode 6, bro. The chase. Grand Inquisitor comes back after Reva gets stabbed, and he's like, hello. I loved him. Like I said, just him pulling up on her, smirking in her face was so disrespectful. Oh, oops. Not episode 6. Darth Vader's choreography, where he dog walked her.
Glorious.
Where she pulls up on him, no saber out. Then he takes her saber, splits it in 2, and throws her one. Disrespectful as fuck. I'm not even going to pull my weapon out. I'm going to use yours. Give me this shit. Here we go. All right. Now I have both of them. All right, now what? Now you're fucked. I loved it. Vader spitting shit to her. I knew it was you the whole time, bro. You thought you was gonna get me?
I love that. I love that scene. Now. Yeah, that scene was hard.
I'm Darth Vader, bro. Like, but anyway,
it's me.
I had to geek out about Vader, bro. It's Darth Vader, bro. He's just cool. He got aura, bro.
So she was there for that too.
Episode 6. They're the rematch of the century, as they were calling it, bro. Vader pulls up. He's like, we need to go out there. And the Grand Inquisitor was like, could we be smart? Could we follow them? He was like, nah, I want him. I want to go kill him. So Obi-Wan separates. Vader pulls up, and they have their rematch. Directing is failing me at this point. Failing me. Because they don't have tripods on the set, bro.
I know.
To let the camera just watch.
I know.
The amazing choreography that Ewan McGregor knows how to do. They don't pull that out, bro.
They didn't do it.
They shaky cam. How can we? Oh shit! Oh, they doing this. Yeah. They doing this.
Shout out to the YouTube gang.
I want this right here, bro. I just want.
Yeah, show me the work.
So, but they was pulling some stuff. Obi-Wan was feeling himself, kinda. He was still shaky, but he was cocky. I like the cocky Obi-Wan. I'll do what I must. The 2-finger in the sword suit, beautiful, bro. But
they brought it back. That's facts.
Vader puts him in the ground, and Obi-Wan finds his clarity, his mission. Luke and Leia, let me rise like Jesus, space Jesus, like they be calling him.
That's
bro.
right. That's what I'm saying. He was in the cave. I told y'all dudes. Y'all listen.
He pulls out, and he starts going crazy. Once he found his clarity, Vader couldn't touch him. He was dog walking Vader, bro. I am the master, bro. Vader wanted to be talking shit. I'm the No, you still got a lot to learn. Chucking rocks at him, and he slashes his face. Now, this goes to the point that you were talking about before with Deborah and the decision-making of creativity behind Star Wars, which you hadn't seen this yet. So I'm interested in your perspective on the sequence between Obi-Wan and Anakin when his helmet is slashed. Because at this point, you hadn't watched Rebels, so you hadn't seen when Ahsoka did it first. So I gotta know, what did you think of this particular scene before I share my thoughts as a Obi-Wan
I liked it.
lover?
I liked it to see Hayden. Like, I know he's under there, but it was an opportunity for us to really get his face. So like I said, Cooked here came for that episode in Ahsoka, and he was warmed up. He said, "Y'all got tripods?" Say less. Let me show you something. Fire. So that's what I was excited about. I was excited about seeing him. But yeah, you're right. That is a trope, bro. That's a big trope. And it's not... Dan, that's actually so frustrating. You should have never said that. You should have never just made me see the connection. Because like I said, episode 6, I love that episode, but you just kind of like...
You know what? Let me bring it back around for you then, all right? Can I bring it around for you?
That hurt me.
Can I bring it around for you?
Okay.
Ahsoka tore one side of the mask and Obi-Wan tore the other, but only Luke could get the hole. Only Luke could dive deep. The master tried and he failed. He couldn't get in there, right? The man that he loved like a brother, I'm sorry. I'm telling you I'm sorry. And Anakin telling him, you didn't kill him. I did. I killed me. Damn. 6 years, however many years Rebels Season 2 takes place, Ahsoka gets the other side. Now the apprentice, we had the master, now the apprentice. I'm speaking to you now. We could do this. Nope. I'm still gunning for you. Fuck that. This is who I am. But the son pierces through, and the son is the one who was able to take it all off. Did that help?
That was hard.
Did that help?
Star Wars, baby. That's that Star Wars. That's hard. Never mind. Thank you.
It was... creativity behind the scenes. It's weird that they went that route, but at the same time, with a character like Darth Vader, how can you really differentiate it? Like, do you have him take the whole mask? Like, no, because what they were still trying to hit that same play of Anakin and Vader. Like, yeah. It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing.
No, they cooked on that though. This idea of getting underneath the mask, getting close to him, seeing him as the Anakin again.
Right.
That's cool. I love that. And again, I think it's important that this show exists because of that as well, man. I think that that's really important because he's only so dope as this super force being, the chosen one, because deep down, that's who he actually is. You know what I mean? It's this thing that they're trying to wrestle with, grieving. So cool that they brought that through.
Right. The speech that they have with one another is glorious.
Yeah.
Back and forth. I'm sorry. I killed him. Obi-Wan like walking away. Because now Obi-Wan gets to walk away the way he wasn't able to on Mustafar. Before he had regret, sadness, loss. But now he said everything. He got what he needed to off his chest. We all know what it feels like to have that one thing you got to get off your chest.
Sure.
He got it off. And now he's been told by the person he thought he had hurt, I did that, bro. Don't carry that on your weight. He's like, you know what? Fine, I won't. Bye. I'm not even going to kill you. Is it stupid? Yes. Obi-Wan's stupid for not killing him right there, bro. Would have saved a lot of people.
Facts. He just let him.
Why didn't he?
And that's another plot concept that's like,
Before, right? Like on Mustafar, he left him to die. He couldn't bring himself to kill him. That's understandable. I could respect that. High intensity emotion, all that. He thought look at Anakin at the end of Revenge of the Sith. I would think he would have died there too.
Right.
But now, I don't know, Obi-Wan. You got a lot of lives on your hand, bro. You got a lot of death on your hand.
And that's what I'm trying to say, man. He's made some decisions, and those decisions have consequences. So it all comes back to the beginning again with that decision. And speaking of, he gets back to watching Luke.
Right. He goes back. He saves Luke, first off, even though he didn't really need saving. Reva, she survived, and now she's going to forge her own journey. Who the hell knows where? It's been 2 years. We haven't seen her since.
We'll see her again.
I don't necessarily want to see her again, but who knows? Maybe they'll do something that they'll save the character and blah, 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 blah. Tales of the Empire. Maybe we'll get a Reva episode. Who knows?
Cal Kestis?
You love Cal, bro.
Every time I think of like, where will we see this random character who just vanished in Star Wars? Oh, maybe we'll see them in the next Jedi game. Who knows?
Maybe, bro. Maybe. He goes back. He's like, all right, I'm going to watch over Luke. She's healed by him. They both get to move past this demon and this ghost of their past, being Vader. We get one of my favorite moments in the show between Obi-Wan and Leia, where he says, Leia, you are strong like your mother and this like your father, and it's a beautiful thing. And she's like, you know what? I'm thank you for that. And I'm okay with Bail. And I'm okay with my mom. I'm okay being here. Beautiful moment. He looking swaggy in his new robes. He pulls back up. Owen's like, you know what? You get to meet Luke. I'll let you meet Luke. Obi-Wan gives him the toy that we see him playing with in A New Hope.
Yes.
He gets to say hello there, and then we get the final sequence of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Qui-Gon Jinn. Now, as a spiritual man yourself, I would love to know your thoughts on the concept that Qui-Gon gives to him of, I've always been here. You just weren't ready for me.
Yeah.
But I've been here. What do you think of that?
I think it's a play, man. It's a play we've seen from the beginning with the cave. Like I said, there's some spirituality in that concept of him speaking to him, but there's a difference between speaking to and waiting to listen to, like, and hear and receive. And obviously that guilt was in his way from being able to hear. You know what I mean? And there's that line of like, I know you think you're listening, but you're just waiting to talk. Like, and I think that concept is a pride thing. It's a thing of pride that had to break in Obi in order for him to listen and see and hear his master and connect where Yoda told him to keep striving to get to a point of, you know. Yoda always had that wisdom, bro. He always speaking like 9 steps ahead of dudes. Always about 9 worlds away from dudes.
True. Yoda's also big folder, bro.
You could be wise as heck and still fold.
He's a large reason why the Jedi were the way they were, unfortunately. But I like that. I like the flaws in the characters.
I like The Last Jedi, so we already know how I feel about what you're saying.
What's it called? Hey, man, listen. The show ends off with Obi-Wan going on his journey with Qui-Gon. And listen, if the show ever wanted to get picked back up for season 2, I'm okay with an entire 6-episode arc of just Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan sitting and meditating over different things.
With like 4 or 5 different directors getting a piece. Maybe one director, maybe Deborah gets the 2-hour opener and then let 4 of that directors get up in there and cook.
Right. But at the end of the day, the show, the purpose of the show, did it need to exist? Do we appreciate it? Yes. I liked seeing Obi-Wan's ramifications of Revenge of the Sith. I liked seeing Darth Vader struggling to be Darth Vader and having Palpatine look him in the face and tell him, yo, you done with that shit, bro? Because if not, you know what I like to do to people that don't follow my way. He's like, all right, I got you. You know, I liked little Leia. It made me fall in love with the whole character of Leia over again.
Yep.
Little Luke was adorable. We got, you know, I think the show, it worked for me.
Yeah.
As someone whose favorite character is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't fully work. On a number scale, I don't know what you're giving it. I'm probably going to hit it with a cool 7.
Yeah, I would probably give it like a 7.5. I know you don't do 0.5s, but
why does George Lucas potentially say that this is his favorite thing? Well, he's worked with these actors, and at the end of the day, he knew the brotherly connection between the 2 characters.
Yeah.
And that is what the show was about at the end of the day.
I think
Reva. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I also think the reason why he likes it is because he understands how much this relationship is at the core of everything Star Wars. You know what I mean? It's an important relationship, and it's a connection that existed generations prior and generations after too. So it's really a Force thing. It's almost like the vehicle of the Force.
You like your vehicles, bro.
It's almost like the Bendu, what the Bendu was talking about being evil and being good, and that middle space, that gray space. Like, I really think the Force, in that maturity of the Force, is really being spoken about from a lot of different ways in a post 2018 Star Wars, especially with Filoni at the core. So it makes me excited for the what if. Like, what if this show didn't exist, first and foremost? I think we would have a deficit. We'd have a hole.
I agree.
What if it came later? What if something? Nah, I don't. Maybe
I think it could have came later.
If it came later, maybe we wouldn't have gotten Homegirl. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know, bro. I think that there's even more nuance that'll come from this story and the relationship that those two have. We'll get another piece of something that'll come out at some point. I'm glad this show came out.
I mean, you said to me when you finished Rebels, specifically when you finished the Twin Sons episode of Rebels, that seeing Ben Kenobi and Maul made you appreciate this show more.
That's right. And that's why I say it, I think, on the other end. Watching it, I was like, yeah, that was cool. It was all right. I like what they're doing. I see what they're doing. That's cool. But now that I'm in here like this, I'm like, this is an important show, whether we want it to be important or not.
Another point about this show, bro, before we end it all off, is the music. The reason why I want to bring this up is because we talked about Loki season 2 and how the composer Natalie Holt was able to dominate the soundtrack of that mess.
Facts.
I was extremely furious with the soundtrack of this show after it was all said and done, because I felt like the only notable thing from this show soundtrack wise was the intro. And Natalie Holt didn't even do the intro. It was John Williams. Now, I know everybody says it sounds like the Insomniac Spider-Man theme. You know, whatever, bro.
A little bit.
Notes, keys is going to keys and notes are going to note. You know what I'm saying? But
I understand that.
Natalie Holt, I couldn't tell you a single instance of this show where the music said wow to me. And music in Star Wars not wowing, in my opinion, is a problem. So I was disappointed. For you as a music guy, can you share your thoughts real quick on what you think of that? Especially since we, again, spoke about it for Loki season 2.
Nah, bro, I think it was a fold. It just was a fold, but it could have been a product of COVID. I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is that it was another one of those legs that the show wasn't able to stand on firmly.
Right.
But
still enjoyable.
You win some and lose. Yeah, you win some, you lose some. It's all good.
Yeah.
So
for the Patterson cut out there, where the dude split it up and made it a 2-hour movie, I watched it and I thought it lost a lot of the nuance and messages that we needed and that we enjoyed. So I don't recommend it.
Wow.
I don't.
Wow.
If y'all want to go and watch it, sure, it cuts out a lot of the Reva stuff and it cuts out different segments and it makes things faster paced and stuff. Yeah, could the show use a little bit of cleaning up? Sure, but the way it was switched up and all that and that, nah. Watch the show how it is. If you don't like it, sorry. I would love to hear why people don't like it.
Sure.
You know? I just think that there are things there to enjoy, and if it doesn't work for you, I don't necessarily think it was bad. A shout out to Vivian Blair, bro. She low-key was like my MVP without Ewan and Hayden. I feel like they're, of course, they're the top, and then yeah, man. So
it was great.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, man. We got the Acolyte dropping next week, bro. I know you're excited for that.
Dude, I've been waiting for this. And to be honest with you, man, it's like every time I see the trailer, I'm like, yo.
Right. I watched that trailer after our Extras 1 episode, and I thought to myself, this is going to be what IV wanted, bro. This is what he wants right here. I genuinely believe.
Wait, what aspect of it do you think is?
That difference of what is good and bad, maybe. Even though we know in terms of balance of the Force, we know that balance of the Force it's not good and evil, it's only good. The light is balance. George Lucas said that darkness and light cannot exist together and only the light is balance. But I think the conception of what is good and bad and all that we might be dealing with in the Acolyte, you're going to appreciate. But it's just a different era of Jedi, bro. So there's going to be a lot of philosophy involved too that we're going to be able to sink our teeth into.
I'm excited about it, man. And it's going to be interesting to see how that connects to this and this connects to that. And it all rhymes because it's Star Wars. You feel me? And that's why we spent the entire month talking about different pieces of Star Wars. And so if you've listened to all 5 of our episodes, our one-on-one, us getting into Tales, us even dropping an extra, us talking video games, talking Obi-Wan. I'm missing something. What else did we talk about this month?
Bad Batch.
And Bad Batch. Thank you. We thank you for riding with us, and this has been episode 68 of Cuzzo-OP. It's crazy to believe that we're at 68 episodes. That means we're already almost at the halfway point for the year, and we still have tons planned. There's tons of movies coming out this summer, stuff like Deadpool, shows that's come out that we want to talk about. I still want to talk about Invincible, Fallout. What's up with that? Let's go talk about that. Tap in, stay tapped in, send the link out to your friends. We're on YouTube, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, wherever they listen. Oh, these are some guys that talk about media right now. And of course, please interact with us down in the YouTube comments. We're having conversations. We're talking a little bit about what you may think. I'll tell you you're wrong dead to your face virtually. What's up? Let's fight. Let's get it. But we thank you. We thank you for listening to our episodes of Cuzzo-OP. And know every time that you listen to Cuzzo-OP, you're going to find a couple things. 2 cousins, 1 podcast, and endless entertainment. May the force be with you.